Good morning again, my Teaserking family. Please understand, I think it's a YouTube issue that I'm losing internet. It doesn't happen on any other site I'm on, Yahoo or Google, and it doesn't happen every time I do the class. And it went out like 2 or 3 times during the class, so we'll see. Hopefully, this will be better. All right. So I showed you a video on Tom Brady talking about strength and weakness. If the defense is stacked A, then I need to get out of the play. So if the defense is blitzing from the right side, I have to get out of the play. If I have a play going to the right, it won't work. So we were talking which quarterbacks can see that and which ones can't. And basically, besides Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes, Stafford, maybe Darnold's learning it. Most of these guys, as I was saying, that Lincoln Riley doesn't teach it. So all these guys from Oklahoma, except for Baker, I think knows it. But Jalen Hurts is clueless. Lamar has no idea what he's even doing. Caleb has no idea. And Kyler Murray. So all these Lincoln Riley guys, I wouldn't waste my time with. So in other words, and then Brady said something. He says, all these guys run like it's flag football, and they know they can't get hit. So they run around, and when their guys get close, they slide or run out of bounds. They're not learning anything. They need to learn to stay in the pocket and read the defense and do that. Then you got guys like Caleb who scramble around. See, so when I'm looking, I see Caleb doesn't know what he's doing because the play he called isn't going to work. He doesn't know where he's throwing the ball to. In other words, if he read the play, if he read the defense before the play was snapped, he would have changed out of that play. He would have went to a different play because he would have said, yeah, gosh darn it, that play's not going to work. So when he goes back to pass and he doesn't know, he's looking for an open receiver. Well, he should know who's going to be open before he hikes the ball, not after. That's where Caleb doesn't know what he's doing, and C.J. Stroud has no idea, and Drake May and half these quarterbacks, especially these young ones, are clueless. Do they teach them that? I don't know. You would think, whatchamacallit, Lane Kiffin maybe taught it, but I don't know. I got to see Jackson Dart. Does Josh Allen know it? I don't know. I think he's learning it better. So maybe he's picked it up. But Lamar has no idea, and this is why we don't bet Lamar, and that's why Lamar never wins a big game because the defense just changes on him, and he doesn't know how to audible out of it. I give you the Derrick Henry fumble in week 1, where Buffalo's making their comeback. Baltimore calls a running play to Derrick Henry to the left. Lamar doesn't check out of it, and there's 8 guys waiting for him, and Lamar takes the ball, and Henry takes the ball and fumbles, and Buffalo wins the game because Lamar didn't change out of the play. Because Lamar doesn't understand. He just calls the play that the coach calls, or maybe he's calling his own plays. Either way, he's not calling the play, and he's not audibling out of it. This is why Lamar's never won anything, and he never will, because he doesn't know, and he's too stubborn or just thinks, I'm Lamar, I don't have to. I don't know, but he doesn't audible out of it. Hey, John C. These quarterbacks are more like running backs now. Is that good? Well, they're not even running backs. They're running with the intent that they know they can just slide and they can't get touched. So they're going back and, but look at C.J. Stroud. He wants to run the ball, but what did he do? He threw the pick 6 against New England. That's the problem with these running quarterbacks. They don't realize They can't turn the ball. They don't understand the game. Hey, I got a great defense. How does CJ Stroud not understand he's got the number one defense in the league? So I don't want to throw pick sixes, right? All I got to do is just eat the ball, take the sack, punt the ball, and let my defense win the game for me. Instead, he threw what, 5 interceptions? Clearly doesn't understand the game. This is what I mean when I say Lamar's no good and Stroud's no good and Jordan Love's no good. Caleb's no good. They don't understand the game. Caleb, yeah, he makes these circus throws like we're in high school or something. But the critical one in overtime where he's trying to go for the winning field goal, what's he do? He throws an interception on a ball that never should have been thrown. His receiver never had a chance for it. The only guy who had a chance for it was the defensive cornerback who he threw the ball to. What was that? That's why I knock these quarterbacks. But then you see Stafford audible out and some of these other, maybe Josh Allen. Bo Nix was, I think, doing it. And then obviously Mahomes and Burrow and Stafford do it. That's why they're the elite quarterbacks. Mahomes sees the defense. He checks out of the play. And that's the point. That's really why I call a good quarterback to a bad quarterback. Because I'm not going to win with a quarterback who can't audible like Lamar, like CJ Stroud, like Caleb. I don't think Drake May can do it. Now, maybe they can after being in the league 5 years. And they learn it. These guys coming out of college have no idea. I doubt they're taught it in college. And they certainly don't know it. And they certainly shouldn't even be playing. Well, why was Cam Ward playing? Do you think Cam Ward was ready to play? Well, the experience is good for him. No, it isn't. The experience is good if it's learning. So if you follow me and you watch me make the picks and you watch me give a free pick, that kind of experience is good because you're learning good experience. You're going, that's what he does. Oh, yeah, that's how he picks it. And why do I bitch at people who want to do algorithms and formulas? Because I already know it doesn't work. You're not following me, right? I've been doing betting teasers since 1977. I wouldn't do it if I lost. If you start losing at something, you don't keep doing it. Yeah, I lost 10 grand this year, 20 grand that year. You would never see me do it again. I play poker. I win. I have a hard time playing blackjack and craps because they fuck the odds over on me, but I'm smart enough to know that and stop playing it. I don't do things to lose. Obviously, I must know what I'm doing, but you don't want to listen to me. You want to try to come up with algorithms or formulas to figure it out. And I warn you, it will never work because you can't figure out the variables. You have new variables, like in gold and silver, it's called bricks. And we're all watching gold and silver jump to the moon. And we know it's coming because of bricks, this new variable entered into it, because we're smart enough to look for new variables. So when I'm picking football, I'm telling you what to do, and you still don't want to listen and go into your little formulas. And this is why I get upset. Prophet, I'm going to do AI. Just do what I'm telling you to do. Do you not think I know what I'm doing? Then why are you listening? Why you want my football picks if I don't know what I'm doing? And yet you still ask for the picks, even though you're trying to use AI. AI doesn't work. I have created my strengths and weaknesses, what I'm looking for, and I got it down to a science. I know. I gave you the Rams. I basically gave you the score, 27-24. The Rams were a live dog in the over, and that's exactly what happened. And I switched to the Denver under because the temperature was the new variable that entered in, saying they're not going to score. And I told you that with the Ram Bear game, everybody was over. I was under because of 5 degrees. The Lion Bear game, I switched off of that because I knew the temperature was going to keep. Normally it'd be an over, but not when it's 5 degrees. You're not going to play an over game because everybody's cold. So I understand all the strengths and weaknesses. That's how I pick. That's how I do everything. That's how I, you know, with Daria and Alyssa and these girls, and that's how I do it with the football and with the gold and silver. What's the strength and the weakness? The weakness is Comex's bullshit. The strength is physical gold. It's very limited and the demand's high. So I figured out the strength. Very high demand, very low supply. I figured out the dollar's worthless. It's collapsed because they printed all this money and the FX has gone away and the petrodollar has died. Now Saudi Arabia will take anything for their oil. They don't care if it's dollars or not. The dollar's collapsed. Well, I'm already ahead of the game. So we buy gold and silver. That's the strength. We've walked into the strength, but you can't use a formula for that. Why are you even trying to use formulas? Who says formulas work? Oh, we know 2 and 2 is 4 and 2 times 4 is 8, but to try to formula half this stuff makes no sense because the variables change. This is why I bitch about charts. Charts don't work. You can look at a chart in 2008 and gold did this and silver did that and the dollar did this and this did that. But it's all different. The variables are different. You can't just pull a chart out from 1995 and think it's the same as the chart now. You're out of your mind. The variables have changed and they always will. And I figured that out in football. Oh, now we have Joe Burrow to look at. Now we have Mahomes. Then we look at some other teams. Oh, the coach changed. Oh, Caleb's here now. Oh, now we got a new coach. The variables are changing. I can't use the trends I used 2 or 3 years ago. I told you that with Tom Brady. He goes to Tampa Bay. I can't use the Tampa trends because they weren't with Brady. And I can't use New England anymore because they're all with Brady. So you have to be able to adjust strengths as they go and weaknesses as they go. So I now see the Bears and I go, they're an over team. I see Caleb and he still doesn't know what he's doing. But he can score enough, but he seems to be very confused out there. He's constantly running trying to avoid the sack and he's constantly throwing interceptions. Now, if he figures it out, then we'll change. But at this point, he doesn't know what he's doing. He shouldn't be out there. Obviously, Lincoln Riley doesn't teach this. So any quarterback from Lincoln Riley is not going to be well. I do that with Ohio State and Alabama quarterbacks. They do not know how to read. They do not know how to get out of plays. They just hike the ball. And if there's 8 guys on the right side, they run to the right anyway. So we understand that, right? Again, I apologize if you're listening to the first video. I had internet problems, but it seems like I turn off my computer, come back on, and now I don't have it. So I don't know what goes on, but it's only on YouTube. It's not on any other, channel I go on where this happens. So maybe YouTube's just can't handle it. Maybe it's a memory issue on YouTube. But again, it doesn't happen every day. Like now it's not happening. So I can't explain it. I only work here. So that's my strategy. It's an art of war strategy, which means basically you go to strengths and you go against weakness. So you look at the weakness. So I do that in everything. What's the weakness of the economy? It's the inflation. What is inflation? Printing too many dollars. Well, that's the first step most people don't get. That's the inflation. You printed too many dollars. That is now your weakness. Your weakness is the dollars aren't worth anything. So everything off of that doesn't matter. See, once you get that, I don't listen to all the other bullshit because I know your dollar's no good. These guys were talking about bonds, alligator today. Who cares? They're worthless because all the money is worthless. Every country prints their money to death. They all have debt. They all have Social Security. They all have government to pay for because they all have large governments that they can't afford. They basically aren't getting enough revenue in. I love how they call tax as revenue. It's not revenue, you're stealing. It's called stealing other people's money. And so you're spending more than you're making. So how can any dollar be good? So right away, the dollar you have to print, the more dollars you print, the less the value of the dollar. And that's the end of it. So we understand the weakness. And that's the point. The weakness is the dollar, and that controls everything. So everything else doesn't matter. They all have large debts. The dollar's basically every country's dollar is worthless. The only strength you can have is gold and silver. But the US doesn't have any gold and silver. Oh, some of the banks do, but it's to pay off the shorts that they did in this Madoff Ponzi scheme called Comex, which is a total Ponzi scheme. We understand that is a weakness. So you need gold and silver is the strength to get out of this mess, and we don't have it. And we know who does, BRICS. And we know the demand is huge because you want to join BRICS, you're going to trade in gold and silver. And that's the problem, right? So we know that that's the issue, the gold and silver. And then we know what happens. Oh, well, if there's a huge demand for gold and silver for physical, and we know COMEX is a paper price, we know, oh, wait, we know the supply is very limited for gold and silver. And it took a while because China bought 80,000 tons and Russia and BRICS have been buying 10, 20, 30,000 tons of it. So there's not a lot left. There's 200,000 tons of that. There's probably 5,000 tons left at the most, which is probably already eaten up. We know there's huge demand by not only the banks, but people like us and maybe insurance companies and pensions and stuff like that. So we know that the weakness of what we're analyzing is there is no supply of gold. We know there's a huge demand, and we know what happens when you get that. That's part of our strength is that the price goes up, and that's why we're buying it, but we have to buy physical. You do not buy ETFs, you do not buy stocks, you do not buy COMEX options, you just buy physical. And we're watching the price go up, and it's not even close to where it's headed. It's just beginning. And so we're not saying to get out of it. We're not saying to profit take it. We're saying just hold it and go on a beach and earn 20% a day in gold and silver. That's the key. That's the strength and the weakness. And you got to do that in relationships, your girlfriends, your wives, your husband, if you're a girl watching, your friends, you got to weigh up their strengths and weaknesses. And when I show you these, like some people don't have a lot of friends, it's because it's all bullshit, right? I don't see a lot of strengths in people. I see a lot of weaknesses. So I don't want to hang around with them, right? I don't want to hang around with idiots. So therefore, as most people are idiots, you just don't hang around with too many. So you find a few, and that's who you hang around. And here is a perfect example where I'm hanging around with intelligent people who we're all on the same page, and we go, yeah, this is who I want to hang around with. So this is the point of the class: is we all hang, and I can teach you certain things that you cannot find anywhere else because nobody teaches Austrian economics. Certainly not the way I do, which is very unique but very devastating. It's perfect. It's very strong and right. When I hear other people claim to be Austrian economists, I just laugh at them like this guy doesn't even know what inflation is. I don't know why so many people have a struggle with what is inflation. Oh, it's 2%, it's 4%. It's not even close. It's first of all, it isn't even prices. So I don't know where they get this. It's you're printed the money, it's worthless. Get out. Get out of the worthless money and into gold and silver. It's not hard concept at all. Yet people struggle with it. Just like the same people profit who want to create algorithms and AI to come up with formulas to pick football games for them. Instead of just learning the fundamentals. How's the quarterback? How's the defense? Who's the coach? How have they played other good teams? And then pick the game. And the reason we do teasers, it's the best way to play the strength. It's the strongest way to play a game is a teaser. And a 2-team 6-point teaser. You don't need, oh, I got 50 points in a 25-team teaser so I could win. Well, then you shouldn't even be betting if that's how you're gonna bet. But It's a 2-team 6-pointer. Maybe for fun, you do a 3-team 6-pointer, but that's the strongest way to bet. But you have to understand the teaser and when to use it. And they got you jumping all over the place. Oh, bet in live betting and in stream betting and bet the player props. Oh, and now I hear, well, if the player gets hurt, you get your money back. Or if he doesn't, you bet him to win the first touchdown and somebody else does, but he gets the second touchdown, you get your money back. In other words, we know you're going to lose on these props, but enjoy playing. You're not really doing it to make money. You're doing it for the fun of it, I guess. I don't know. It's beyond me. TK, what do you think of sports reporters like Stephen A. Smith? I don't know. I don't listen to these idiots. I think there are a lot of show. There are a lot of. I think most TV is about emotion now. Where how did you feel about catching that touchdown pass? How did you feel about winning the game? How do you feel about going to the Super Bowl? I mean, this is it's insanity. This is the problem. It's all emotion. How do you feel? Oh, you found your son. He was lost for 5 years. How does it feel that he's back? I mean, the questions are so stupid. The reporters are a bunch of idiots. I really don't listen to it. Like when they after the game was over and they go to the presentation, like the Seattle game, I turned it off. There's James Bond movies on Netflix, so I can actually watch without commercials. So I turned it off. Um, I don't want to hear that. How does it feel, that you got a date with the hot blonde? Well, how do you think it feels? I mean, it's just so stupid. But that's where it's at. It's all emotion because they're trying to get you off your game and into they're trying to make you an idiot so you don't think you feel. And that's the whole purpose now. And you got to stay strong and concentrate and not go to all this, every 2 minutes there's a commercial or you flip to another TikTok thing. Oh, it's 30 seconds. You go to the next one, 30 seconds, go to the next one. And there goes your concentration. And now you're an idiot because you can't think and you can't see. We think. What do? I think about how to pick games. And I think, why did I win and lose? Well, it was my only loser was the Rams Carolina, really. Uh, and the whole playoff was because of I laid 4 and I thought the Rams would score. I didn't think Carolina could score much. Okay, I understand why I lost. Yeah, I had Green Bay as a lock, and then I went under because it was really windy in Chicago, and then this Denver game where it was real. Um, it got really cold, and so I bet both ways on it. Had I waited, I would have bet the under. I would never have bet the over. But okay, I understand. It got cold, and I understand to then bet it under. So really, that canceled. And then I hit the Rams, and I hit the over in the game. So why did I lose, and why did I win? So I really understand what's going on, and that's because I'm critically thinking and I'm problem solving these games. So that's why when I start the season in college, I got to go who's on each team. I have to then you see me go through the magazine and go through every team, and I'm looking to problem solve them, and I'm trying to figure out who do I bet on, who's good and bad, because I got to wipe out last year because it's changed. So I'm smart enough to realize with the NIL and all these coaching changes, the teams change. All of a sudden, I got to keep my eye on Indiana, right? We know Ohio State, they're pretty consistent. And then we see some of these other teams. I know Utah, BYU were good. I didn't know Texas Tech was that strong. I didn't know Miami was that strong because I didn't like the coach. So now it's changed. Now these guys are buying players and they're bringing these players to these teams. Okay, I get it. I get the change. And now it's a matter of, okay, what do we do with it? How do we analyze it? How do we strength and weakness the teams? We don't want to bet against strength, as I warn you all the time. Yeah, James Madison's good, but not when they're playing Oregon or not when they move up and they play Ohio State. When they're in their conference, James Madison's very good. But these new quarterbacks, how are they? And they're freshmen or who knows? The ones I know, you got to see. And then they changing offensive coordinators. So they got to learn a new system. Wouldn't you want to be in the same system for 4 years? That'd be like going and dating a different girl every year. So you're used to, I'm used to Daria, and then here's Jenna. Now I got to get used to Jenna, and here's Alyssa. I got to get used to her. You got to get used to the girls. You got to understand them. They got to understand you. You got to see, is it worth it or is it not worth it? And that's really what you're trying to do with. So to change girlfriends every year and get a new girlfriend is ridiculous. So that's why I have multiple, so I can get used to them and see what I want. And so that's what I've been doing. And there's nothing wrong with it. You're not being disloyal or dishonest or anything. You're just trying to learn what's your strength and weakness. And if the strengths line up and the weaknesses line up, fine. Then you can help them with their weakness. I know Alyssa's weakness, and I try to help her with it. I don't. It's like you love them because of their strength and their weakness. You understand it, and then can I live with it? Most of the times you can, because I have my own strengths and weaknesses. I watch football and I bet. Some girls don't like that. Oh, you're going to lose all your money betting. Not me, but most people would. I buy a lot of gold and silver. I don't have a lot of money. This is the latest thing I'm trying to teach the girls is I don't have a lot of cash because I got out of it. I have a lot of this. I got out of this into this, but I can't spend this because A, it's too cheap, and B, I can't walk into most places and use it. But I don't want to sell it for this because this is worthless. So we have a lot of this. We don't have a lot of that. So be careful spending this. And so you're trying to teach them, right? And they get it. They realize the gold and silver, how much they're worth. Jenna's got a hard time with it. She sees that and she doesn't believe it. Now, like, yeah, it hit 5,000, Jenna. Now, do you believe the gold is a good idea? So she's starting to turn to it. But you're learning people's strengths and weaknesses, and it goes to football and it goes to economics. What's our biggest weakness? The dollar's worthless. But they don't want to tell you that, but you have to be able to figure that out. And if you keep printing, what makes the dollar worthless? If you keep printing it, if there's too many dollars, it's worthless. Well, there's too many dollars, it's worthless. We know that. So if there's too many dollars and it's worthless, then why would I be in bonds? Why would I be in the stock market? Why would I be in any paper? What's going to happen? And now we have to analyze what's going to happen. Well, the dollar is going to go out. The gold and silver is going to go to the moon because it's very limited as people jump. That's why I take you to the Titanic. There's not enough lifeboats. So the lifeboats become very valuable because there's only enough for half. So the other half of the people who want to get on the lifeboat aren't going to get on it. And so that's the problem, right? So you understand that. So that's what I'm doing. There's not enough gold and silver. So you better buy it now while it's cheap and available. So, you're well, I'll sell my silver and get gold later. Well, if you can find the gold, I go to my guy's store. I'd always find gold. I would show you, he's got quarter ounces, half ounces, dollars. Now I go there. He's got two bars of 1 ounce gold, but no coins. And he says people aren't selling it to me. If they sell it, it leaves quickly. And he doesn't get it from the mint. The mints don't have it anymore. And he says, I got to get 10 ounces, which is $45,000, which I don't really have the money to do it. And I don't know if people will buy it, even though they will, but he doesn't understand that. And that's the weakness of these stores. They don't understand it. They see it. Oh yeah, silver's $25, so I'll have fun with it and I'll buy it and then I'll sell it and who cares? It's not costing me a lot. But now it's $110 an ounce and now they freaking out. Oh shit. Well, if I buy it, what if it goes back down? Don't you know what's going on? Apparently not. That's your weakness. You're running a gold silver store and you don't understand that you need inventory and it's going to the moon and 113 it's on its way to 500. it's a bargain, and you need the inventory because people are going to come to buy it. People will come to buy it. It might not sell every day, but you're gonna have what people need. It's like that Twilight episode, the Twilight Zone, where this old guy sitting in a little restaurant, and he's got a box, and he goes up to people, and he can, you get that little twinge in the music, and oh, you need this bus ticket, and oh, lady, you need this cleaning thing, and the guy's falling out. The guy needs the bus to go manage um, the minor league team, and the girl wants to come with and has the cleaning fluid to clean the suit. And then he goes to other people and said, "This is what you need." Well, that's people will understand. I'm the old guy. This is what you need: silver and gold. This is the only thing that can save you. That's it. And I'm telling you that. So you're getting caught into this secret that most people don't understand. And when you explain it to them, they still don't understand it. Nobody understands that. It's the simplest thing. Your dollar's worthless. Oh, no, it isn't. It's worth something. That's the weakness. The dollar isn't worth anything. And people are too slow and stupid and idiots. And I mean it by that thing that don't understand it. And what do we get? Bobby tells his daughter, "Well, you can't take gold to the grocery store." It's like, where does that come from? The grocery store scenario. I mean, when the dollar goes out, are you going to take this to the grocery store when it's worth nothing, and you're going to try to buy food? Yeah, that's not going to work. Do you own a Picasso? Do you own a Rolex? Do you own a Mantle card? Well, you don't take those to the grocery store, but those are good buys. Those are real assets that are limited, and they're going to go up in value. Isn't that why you buy stocks? Because they're going to go up in value. However, they're not limited and they're overpriced. If a stock's worth 50 and you're paying 100 for it, is that a good investment? Well, it's going to go up. Or our famous Bitcoin, it's $90,000. Why? Well, I don't know, but it is. So I'm going to buy it. So you go buy it, but you have no idea why. You don't know the strength and weaknesses. The weakness of Bitcoin, it's not real. It's a Ponzi scheme. The strength of Bitcoin, there isn't one. It's all the people buying into the Ponzi scheme. Well, I'll buy it because it's going to go up. Based on what? What are you basing on? It's going to go up. Is it limited? No, well, it's 21 million. That's limited, isn't it? No, it's not limited. You know, again, it's limited in its own. It depends on, do you have 22 million people wanting it, which you don't. Stores don't want it. It's not money. Do you want air as a collectible, or do you want a Mantle card, or do you want Canadian Club? What do you want as your collectible? But it's just bullshit. It should never have gone that high. It's just fake. John C. TK, you like the gym. It's important to be healthy, to health and wealth too. Well, yeah, I go swimming every day. I tell you I go swimming. Well, it's a strange question. I go every day to the pool. I get on the bike for about 20 minutes, and then I go in the pool for 40 minutes. I swim and run. In the pool, I take a hot tub. I do that every day. I was walking also until it's like 0 degrees outside every day since the beginning of December. So I can't, it's just too cold to walk in. The other thing is eating. Big part of the health is what you eat. That's why I just did a 89-hour fast like 2 weeks ago. That's extremely healthy. Eating chocolate chip cookies and Milky Ways aren't healthy. That's a bigger part of your health. When I see big fat people at the gym, I kind of want to go up to them and say, what does your diet look like? What are you eating to get to be 300 pounds? And you're not an offensive lineman in the NFL. Why are you so fat? And if you want, I can help you. And it involves fasting. And, they look at you like you're crazy. Now, I don't talk to too many people because I've learned to I'm not sticking my nose into their business. I'm trying to help them. Just like I try to help them buy gold or silver or do autography and fast and not eat carbs and not eat sugar. It's the same thing in the health. I mean, you could go to the pool, but if you're going to eat, a chocolate cake every day and all the carbs and pancakes and syrup and Lucky Charms, and if you're going to eat all that, there's no point in going to the gym because you're going to bust. So it's a combination. Again, the strength is eating protein, and the weakness is eating carbs and sugar. And so there's a strength and weakness in everything. All right, I'm going to show you this other video that who did I want to show? Oh yeah, Glenn Beck. Oh, I gotta get to that. All right, so I'm going to show you about 2 minutes of this video. A guy's named Sean Ryan. Never heard of him. Sounds like an idiot.
Why you should never get a dog once you hit 60 years old. My friends made fun of me when I ordered this. For the last many decades, trade has been conducted using the dollar as the unit of intermediation, right? Whether commodities, the currency that underpins commodities has always been dollars. So when you buy oil's traded in dollars, whether it's in Saudi Arabia or whether it's in the UAE
Not
or
anymore.
whether it's in Indonesia. It's a dollar system. And so the BRICS are saying, why should we have to transit the US dollar to trade soybeans from Brazil to China? Isn't there a way that we can do this internally? They're not going to create a currency, a BRICS currency.
Okay, that's wrong. They've created the unit. It's gold-backed currency. I don't know how old this is. It says it's 17 hours ago. There's no fucking way this is 17 hours ago. But the BRICS have done that, and the BRICS are not trading soybeans to China with US dollars. So this guy all of a sudden has no clue. He's some banker, but he's obviously an idiot.
But they're trying to figure out how they square away the plumbing, the financial plumbing, so that they don't have to go through the dollar as the intermediary. So that's what's going on. How does that affect us? Well, if the dollar isn't the reserve currency, we're screwed. Like, we become...
There you go. It's not the reserve currency. Gold is. So we're screwed. So we take that. That's another weakness. The dollar is not the reserve currency. Even if the dollar is the reserve currency, we're screwed because there's too many out there. The inflation's huge. So some banker doesn't know. So this has to be like 5 years ago that BRICS already is on a gold-backed currency, and the dollar is not the reserve currency, and the petrodollar takes other. China is paying for oil with yuan, a gold-backed yuan, and then they get the gold for it. But that's already happening. It's been happening for like 6-9 months. So I'm very confused by this video.
I don't know, Argentina. It can be very bad. So let's back up. I'll begin with our fiscal deficits, and I'll take this back to why the dollar is important. Okay. So right now, we spend $7 trillion. That's the latest budget proposal. And we generate in tax revenue like 4.9 trillion, right? So there's a deficit of, roughly $2 trillion a year. Now, people don't understand unless you can make it real for them. So let's take out a bunch of zeros. Let's assume you as an individual are making $49,000 a year and you're spending $70,000 a year. Well, okay, that's bad. That's fiscally irresponsible, but that's what we're doing as a country. If it's you as an individual in that scenario where you're like $20,000 short every year, what do? Well, you max out your credit card 1 year. Okay, that covers you the first year. The second year, you take out a loan from the bank to pay maybe your credit card or whatnot. But over time, that's not sustainable. So what happens is when we have a shortfall, the way we generate revenue in shortfalls, other than tax revenue, right? Tax revenues are 4.9 trillion.
Not revenue.
How do you get to 7? Well, we issue bonds, right? So we sell bonds around the world, and when people don't buy for whatever reason, the Fed buys the bonds. The Fed is the buyer of last resort. So you've seen the Fed balance sheet basically go from like 4 trillion to like 8 trillion because they're the ones buying everything. Well, how are they buying it? Well, they buy it by printing money. And so the printing presses have been off the charts, certainly since COVID and throughout this administration. And that, of course, has caused inflation and a lot of other problems, which we can go into. Now, the artificial demand for dollars around the world is largely due to the fact that 60% of central banks have the dollar sitting in reserves. Okay. And also because the dollar is used as the unit of trade for commodities, for foreign exchange. Like if you want to go from Colombian pesos to, I don't know, Indonesian rupiah, you have to go through the dollar. Uh-huh. If the dollar isn't there, because nobody wants to use the dollar, we're screwed. All that artificial demand for dollars disappears and we crater. We're not going to forget financing the next aircraft carrier. We're not going to be able to pay Medicare. And that's when things get.
Look how he passes over inflation. He probably doesn't understand it. He probably thinks inflation is prices going up. Inflation's the whole key to what he's talking about, but he doesn't even understand that. That's why I'm showing the video. So this is a banker's thought, and we're learning what the weakness is in the banker. He doesn't understand inflation. He somehow thinks we need to be the reserve currency, so it creates demand for our money, but it doesn't matter. You've printed too much. You've overprinted. The BRICS have come out with the gold-backed currency. The dollar's worthless because you have printed too much because of your deficits and you're selling the bonds that nobody wants. Oh, I don't know why nobody wants our bonds, but we're printing them on our own. Well, that means you're a banana republic and you're in deep trouble. But they're missing the whole point is the inflation. The inflation is the problem. The money's worthless. It doesn't matter if you're the reserve currency. If the money's worthless, the money's worthless. So now let's go back to our idiot things. What's an idiot? Somebody who comes across like they know it. They're very, what's the word? Very, maybe very articulate, very controlled. What's the thing? Very confident. That's what I'm looking for. So he comes across very confident. He said, well, if we have inflation, but who cares? And we're, well, they'll never come and go. The BRICS won't come out with a gold back or with a currency, and so he comes across confident. So what happens is the idiots believe this guy and they're going to come back. Oh no, the BRICS hasn't come out with a currency. And oh yeah, well, the inflation. So he comes across confident, but he doesn't know what he's talking about. Inflation is the biggest problem because if your money's worthless, all the rest doesn't matter. Let's listen to a few more minutes and see if he talks about inflation. I didn't listen to this whole thing. I really wanted to get to that point where he's talking about it and how inaccurate he is and how stupid he is. But let's listen another 2 or 3 minutes.
Really, really bad. And it just takes leadership in our government, in our Congress,
which
and
we
in our
don't
executive
have.
branch to say, enough. We can't fund everything.
These days, it seems like there's a new AI.
So what leadership is he talking about?
What
everything. And there are things that, look, we have 88 million people on Medicare, 65 million people on Medicaid, 8 million on disability, 44 million on food stamps. That's like, I don't know, I'm not good at doing math in my head, but that's like a little over 200 million people in America that depend on the government. That's not sustainable.
And that's because they don't have gold and silver. This gets me off of the government. I don't care about the government if I have this. I'm off the system. I'm not taxed when this goes up. I'm not paying a 1099 if I only sell an ounce or two. I'm not really looking to sell. I bought an asset that's going to the moon. I don't need the government. Why do all these people need the government? For votes. And now, as it collapses, they're fucked. Now, what needs to happen, the government needs to come out with a different currency and then pay everybody in that currency. But if it's not backed by gold or silver, that'll last 3 months and then it'll go broke. Now, the government needs to come out with gold and silver backed currency to prevent this, but they won't because they want the votes and they want people needing the government. And then they'll just keep printing it. And they won't say the dollar's dead or anything like that. And this guy is clueless, but he looks confident, right? So you want to believe him, but when you actually listen to what he says and you at our level where you understand what he's saying, you know he's full of shit and an idiot and a guy we shouldn't listen to, even though he looks confident. And most idiots listen to this guy and then they'll take what he said and they'll say, well, no, there's no BRICS currency. There's no, we're still the petrodollar. This is where I get it from, is somebody like this who's confident, but he's full of shit. And that's what you got to be careful of.
What, 350 million? 340 million, something like that, 336. So so we have to do something to really rein in our spending. And we're adding $1 trillion of debt every 100 days. And so who do we owe the debt to?
People that bought the bonds.
We do have a bunch of foreign debt buyers. China had at some point, close to, maybe $1.5 trillion or 2 trillion. And they've been paring that down. They've been selling. Why? Because they don't want to get sanctioned. They learned from Russia. Once Russia invaded Ukraine, we basically sanctioned everything. We took all their money and we're like, okay, it's ours. So when you have a central bank that has dollars in reserves, it's not like there are bales and bales of money sitting in the Russian central bank in a dungeon. It's sitting at the Fed. And so we can turn the money off whenever we want. And so China was like, I don't know that I like this. So I think I'm going to start selling treasuries. So it's a problem. And the debt is a problem for many reasons. We're always issuing new debt, and there's debt that gets paid back. And as we start paying back some of these shorter duration loans and bonds and government obligations, we have to borrow at a new rate. And that new rate is really high. And so, the 3-month, I think, is like 5% and change. It used to be 0. And so now we're borrowing money at higher interest rates, which means we have to pay, our government is paying more in interest on our debt, like over $1 trillion in interest alone. And we're paying 850 billion for our Defense Department. We're paying more in interest, just in interest to service the debt, than we are paying for the Defense Department. You tell me, is that sustainable? We're screwed unless somebody changes things in a very radical way. And in DC, nobody seems to care.
Let's see if he mentions gold.
People that own the debt are the Fed, bonds. The people buy bonds. Yes, the notes and the bonds. There's an entire marketplace.
Okay, these foreign banks are dumping it because they know the dollar's worthless. Only it went over his head. He doesn't understand that. I don't want to be in a dollar. Look at us. I'm teaching you. Get out of dollars. They're not worth anything. Well, that's what China and Russia and everybody else is doing. They're saying, we don't want to be in dollars because they're not worth anything because you printed these to death. And we're not going to do the FX with the dollar. And we're going to buy, China's buying stuff from India because they're using the BRICS gold-backed currency, the unit. So they're not even playing with the dollar. And the petrodollar is anybody who has money to pay for the oil is buying it. China buys their oil from Saudi Arabia in yuan, in gold, basically. John C., TK people get into bad habits, like alcohol. What you think of this? And them, they take tons of prescription stuff. Well, that's their weakness. The weakness is I think I need alcohol to feel better, to forget something. For whatever reason, they take it, probably to forget things. Probably they'd rather be drunk and not think of I'm broke. I don't want to think about it. I'll drink. Prescriptions are terrible. I would never. This is why I fast. I eat. I'm healthy. I don't even go to the doctor. Right. If my foot bothers me because I had too much meat, I just fast. So I'm on very little. I'll take a Tylenol or something once in a blue moon, which I really hate taking. And outside of that, I fast. So your eating controls everything. And I'm strong enough that I don't let things bother me. Um, certain things bother me. I'm not working, but I've solved that by having gold and silver. You always look at what's the answer. Why are you sad? What's the answer? And you just move on. The dollar is gone. Yes, we know that. A lot of people are on disability too and food stamps too. Yep, they are because they didn't buy gold and silver. If you bought gold and silver, nobody would be poor, but nobody understands that. They're all sitting there trusting the government, thinking the dollar has a value, and it doesn't. That's why I'm telling you to buy gold and silver. Buy whatever. Buy a half ounce of silver for $40. Buy gold. Buy a tenth of an ounce. It's $500, $550. But I was telling you this when silver was $25 an ounce and gold was $1,700. So I've been telling you this I showed you my first thing was 2021. This was 1995, but I wasn't doing, I think I was doing football, but I wasn't doing this class. But I've always been doing football, but I didn't get into gold and silver probably till 2020 or 2019. You can look at my videos. I've been doing it for 16 years, but the first, I'm sure, 10 years have been football, but we might have talked about gold and silver a little. So what's your question, John Z? A lot of people are on disability and food stamp. Yeah, they need it because they're broke. Some people didn't have skills. Like Daria tells me, well, I just have a high school degree. And I said, that's okay. I understand. I don't expect everybody to have a master's or an education but you can still do well if you just work hard. And, you can always work I started working at the grocery store making $10 an hour in the 70s, which was good, but I still worked. I didn't have a degree for that. Just if you worked hard and then you're smart enough to save some money or even buy some gold or silver at the time or now, then, now it's a bit, the cat's out the door. I mean, it's already, $110 silver and it's already almost 5,100 gold. Well, now it's still cheap, but now you need some money for it. So you still want to buy something, but that's the point. You've got to be very careful with it and understand everything. And yes, do I feel bad for those people? Yeah, but they should, you can't really rely on the government for it because the dollar's worthless. So, okay, they get it so they can go eat. And I don't know if they have enough to pay rent or whatever, but the government's just giving you phony money. You rely on yourself. That's the way out of it. All right, let's listen.
Some are owned by big financial firms.
Talk about bonds.
401k probably has a bunch of government bonds in it. So it's owned by ourselves individually through our 401ks. It's owned by large corporations like BlackRock and Vanguard and so forth, Goldman Sachs. It's owned by the Fed. It's owned by institutional buyers, foreign buyers like the Saudis and the Japanese. It's owned by a lot of people. And can they call and collect?
Well, this is why you can't just ignore the debt. Nobody will allow you to just, well, we're not going to pay it. That won't work. You have to pay this off somehow. But this is why the foreign governments are saying, I'm cashing in now. And they were all running to buy gold, like China, Russia, Japan. They just sold $1 trillion. Give me my money. And then they're buying gold and silver with it. That's why nobody's buying it, because it's not, A, the dollar's not worth anything. B, they'll never get paid back. So why would I buy a bond and not get paid back? Which these guys don't want to tell you that.
So the way a bond works is I owe you $100. I'll pay you back in 5 years with interest. I'll pay you 5% interest a year, and then in 5 years, I pay you the principal. So they do come to collect once the bond is due.
And that's what the foreign countries are doing as well.
Yeah, I mean, well,
They're buying so it's all bonds. It is all.
So you have many types of government obligations. You've got a 3 month, you've got a 6 month, you've got a 10-year, a 5-year. So there are lots of bond durations, and there's a giant marketplace for this. People are buying and selling these bonds all the time. It's not like that IOU that you just purchased from me, like I owe you $100, I'll pay back in 5 years. You can take that IOU and sell it to your sister, and your sister can sell it. And then there becomes a secondary market for these. And there's like a giant marketplace of people buying and selling bonds.
Okay. So what does it look like when
We're all losers.
I don't want to be around when that happens. I'll be in a Mennonite colony in Paraguay, living off the land or something. No, but joking aside, it can get very bad very quickly.
Can you paint a scenario?
Sure. A scenario where it can happen very quickly, and it can happen over a long period of time. Over a long period of time, people start losing faith in the dollar. Our obligations become less and less valuable to them. Faith and credit in the U.S. dollar becomes impaired. The dollar loses a tremendous amount of value. It depreciates significantly compared to a lot of other places. We see huge amounts of inflation, perhaps hyperinflation, or it can happen very suddenly, where we just can't meet the obligations of the federal government.
Charlie was fed by strangers.
So why doesn't he tell you what inflation is, right?
And left him to starve.
He just says,
Obligations of the federal government.
well, we'll see inflation. The dollar loses value. The dollar's gone. The dollar has no value. And this guy who's some banker doesn't even understand that. That's the scary part. If he doesn't get it, the average person doesn't. It's very hard for us to teach it if they listen to this guy. Well, there could be inflation. Now, again, I don't know how old this is, but it's old.
So, we have $7 trillion that we need to pay out every year in whatever, right? And maybe we have to fire people. We have to fire the 24 million government workers. By the way, there are twice the number of government employees than there are manufacturing employees.
Man, that's
12 million versus 24 million.
So when you told me that last night, that blew my mind.
Maybe we have to fire people. Maybe people have to take a haircut.
You think? Basically, we're running the ice cream store, and we sell enough ice cream to have 3 employees. Well, we can't have 10. We can't afford to pay them. We can only have 3. You think the government thinks like that? First of all, the government doesn't produce any revenue. Secondly, if they are stealing our taxes to pay for all these people to work, where do you get the money for it? Well, we got to print it. So maybe, do we need this many people? It doesn't matter. We can't afford them. So until they cut the people, and the debt's not going anywhere, it keeps going up because you keep printing money to pay for the people. The defense, maybe we shouldn't have such a big defense since we're not in a war. And then maybe we got to stop the inflation, and maybe we need gold to pay it off and then get rid of. But let's see if he answers anything about gold.
On what they think that they're due. Maybe we can't afford a lot of the social programs, some of which are very important to people in poor communities. And these people in poor communities are saying, well, that was my lifeblood. Like, now I can't buy food.
Why are there poor communities in the U.S.? Because of the government with this idiot stuff, keeping people away from working. Because if you're working, you don't collect these benefits. So people go, oh, I'll collect the benefit and I won't work. because I make more money on the benefit than I can if I work, but they miss the point of the skill and getting better jobs and making more money and being on their own, which is freedom. So the government does the best to take your freedom away. And it's just really ridiculous. And that's what this whole thing is. It's over this guy's head, but you'll listen to him because he's confident. He's an idiot, but because he's confident, he hasn't said anything that makes sense yet.
And people get really pissed off.
I mean, maybe if we just quit funding Ukraine.
Yeah, I
Why
don't
is that?
follow the Ukraine Russia as much as I do China, but I don't understand how cooler heads can't prevail and get us to some peaceful outcome. At this point, it's probably too.
Oh my God. They don't want peace. Britain is behind it. They want war because they want to get rid of Russia. That's what this whole thing's about. It's destroying Russia. So they want to keep the war going. Cooler heads. The cooler heads are the ones keeping the war going. The MI6s, the CIAs, and we give money. It's all kickbacks. It's all money laundering. It's over this guy's head, right? That's what's happening. They don't want to end the war. This is the stupidest war in the world. It's about nothing. There's no winner. Russia's already won 73-0. So what's going on? Why aren't they surrendering? Because they're getting the money on the kickbacks. There's no war. I mean, the Ukrainians have no men. They're all surrendering and Russia's won. So what are we doing? Oh, we're money. So Zelensky can steal money and all the governments, the senators and Congress can steal money and the defense contractors. That's why there's the war. It is never going to end because of that. Well, hopefully it will end, but they don't want to end it. So it's crazy.
Late. But I have hope that future leaders in the United States will take an important role in getting these two sides to the table and saying, let's figure out a way to end this. It's in everybody's best interest.
No, it isn't in everybody's best interest.
And I think Putin is obviously indefensible. But I just don't know what the strategy is. If you were to sit down and talk to anybody in Washington and say, what's our desired end state? Do we want regime change in Russia? Is that the desired end state? No, we can't do that. Well, is it to preserve the territorial integrity of Ukraine? Okay, yeah, I can buy that.
No.
But how do we do this? So I'm a first principles thinker. What is your desired end state? And let's go back and get there.
What the fuck is that? He just
sure
said.
What
First
we're trying to
principle
do.
thinker.
Maybe because I'm not in the know. And again, I don't, I'll caveat this with, I'm not following the Russia-Ukraine issue as much as I'm following the China issue.
Well, I mean, I'm asking you because of where you.
What China issue? There is no China issue. China has all the gold. They win. That's the bottom line.
You're part of now with the venture capital firm and defense stuff. And so could it be that it is the military industrial complex companies, Lockheed Martin?
So is Lockheed and, are they pulling the strings behind Ukraine? I don't know.
Of course they are.
What I'm asking is, are they lobbying Washington to vote this in so that they can send their weapons over to Ukraine?
I'm not really in the know on those discussions.
What a bunch of bullshit. We all know that's what's happening.
What I'm more concerned about is that we're pretty much out of javelins. We're pretty much out of 155 rounds. We're out of a lot of stuff. Our arsenals are getting depleted. And if there's ever a real shooting war over in Asia, what are we going to do? That's my bigger concern. And so I think that we need to start rearming ourselves very quickly because something is going to go down in Asia when we least expect it, and we're not going to be prepared.
Nothing's happening in China. They don't want war with us.
That are seemingly nonsensical that are super important. I'll give you an illustration. A few days ago, China restricted sales of a metal known as antimony to the West. Both China and Russia together, they comprise probably like 85% of the world antimony market. Why is antimony important? Because we need it to make bullets. Without antimony, we don't have bullets. We don't have ammo, right? Because they mix it with lead and whatever. So a bullet is made of a bunch of different metals that are forged together. It's an alloy, and antimony forms an integral part of that. China's like, oh, guess what? No more antimony for you guys. So I ask you, how are we going to make bullets? What's the plan? And it's something as esoteric and like stupid as a minor metal, but that minor metal is super important to everything else. China restricted gallium and...
Okay, so this guy's a moron. I don't know when this is not a current video. Boy, these comments, they're really killing this guy. I'll put in my comment. I'm going to share with you my, this is my response. Okay, so this is what I just said. What an idiot. I love using that term. This guy is clueless. No talk about gold. BRICS is using the unit, a gold-backed currency, to trade in BRICS. U.S. defense contractors in Britain won't let the Ukraine war end. He doesn't understand bonds or inflation. Where did you find this guy, the professor? I do this a lot. You know, I wanted to hear, he doesn't understand it. Oh, it could raise inflation. Oh, we're on the petrodollar. No, unless this was like 5 years old. And you don't pay $1 trillion a quarter. It's $1 trillion in the year is the interest. We're not paying $4 trillion a year. We're paying $1 trillion a year. It's probably $1.5 trillion a year on the debt. Okay, so that was that one. And I wanted to rip it apart. Here's this. This will be a quick 5-minute roughly.
France just crossed. France is quietly becoming the biggest threat to the European Union. For decades, France has acted as one of the EU's main pillars, a country large enough and influential enough to help stabilize the entire union. But today, that pillar is cracking. France just crossed a line it was never supposed to reach. More than 3.4 trillion euros, or $4 trillion, in debt, borrowing costs surging, and a government running its 51st straight deficit with no realistic plan to reverse course. Its political system is fracturing, its finances are deteriorating, and every attempt at reform triggers national paralysis. And here's the part almost nobody wants to say out loud. If France loses control of its finances, Europe won't just face another debt crisis. It may face a problem it was never designed to survive. Because France isn't Greece, and it isn't Italy. It's 20% of the entire Eurozone, and the foundations of the euro itself rely on France remaining stable. But right now, France's numbers look eerily similar to the countries that collapsed before it. So the question isn't whether France is in trouble. It's what happens to Europe when its second largest economy becomes the one most likely to break the whole system. France's current crisis didn't appear out of nowhere. It isn't the result of one bad decision, one shock, or one government. It's the final stage of a model that has been drifting off course for half a century, slowly at first, then faster, and now at a pace the country can no longer control. Ever since 1970.
So you see that it takes a while for these countries to collapse, like the U.S. We're not like, oh, it's going to be 10 years from now. It's been 50 years. We won't see 55. We might see 51, but that's it. So your only option on the sinking boat is the gold and silver lifeboats, which is what I keep using this analysis for. This is the problem. All these countries are bankrupt because they keep doing the same thing. They keep printing and printing and printing, and it makes their dollars worthless. This is the euro. Germany's in the same boat. Britain are in the same boat. That's why I keep showing you Europe. And Europe's going to collapse. And now what do? You're going to have all these people with no money unless they were smart enough to buy gold and silver. I believe the Germans are smart enough because they lived through Hitler. So they know, hey, we need gold. And they all probably have a little bit of gold. The Frenchies, I don't know. The Brits, maybe Alligator and Mark McGuire have gold, but I don't know. The common people, they're all fighting for hotels with the immigrants. They brought in the immigrants so they could win votes, even though their countries are collapsed. And they all miss the whole point. Your money's worthless. You're fucked. If you don't have gold, and that's why I say there's no gold in Fort Knox. If we had gold in Fort Knox, what are we waiting to use it for? If you're not going to use it now, you're not going to have a country. And this is the problem with all these countries. And this is why we're sitting there going, we've got gold and silver. Me and you, right? That's why we have it. Because we're running out of, we're running away from this, right? Because this is worthless. We know this is worthless because they keep overprinting it. All these this is why socialism doesn't work. In the socialism world, we'll give you food and clothing, and we'll buy you a house and all that. Where are you getting the money from it? Well, we'll steal it from the guys who work. But then it gets too big, like our government, right? The U.S. government. It's so big we can't afford it. Well, let's have all these employees. What do? Nothing. Is there any point of it? No. How are we paying them? Well, we're just printing money, and that won't be a problem. Well, no, we're the reserve currency, so we can print as much as we want. What, are you out of your mind? What? So obviously these are Keynesians running everything, and the Keynesians believe you can just print and government spending gets you out of problems, which it doesn't. It's all a lie, which is why I rip on Keynesians. They don't know what they're talking about. So that's really it. John C., let's see. This guy is clueless. I hate those ads, TK. Well, the ads, when I pause like this, we get the ads. If I let it go, we probably wouldn't, but I want to talk while my mind's on it. The guy is clueless, but what does he look like? He looks confident. So you're going to trust what he says because he's confident, even though he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know what's going on in the Russian-Ukraine war, that it's the defense contractors in Britain keeping the war going. He doesn't. I mean, I'm sorry, this guy's an idiot. What is he talking about? So I've shown you the UK and the riots there, and here's France, and they're broke. Germany's in big trouble. The BRICS are the ones who understand it. So we need to move to a BRICS country. We got to join Pat in Singapore, somewhere safe, somewhere that has gold and silver. Maybe we move to Russia. At least Putin's a good leader as far as I don't think he's killing his own people. He's not starving his own people. He's got gold and silver. So Putin understands that. We don't have any gold or silver here. Like I said, if we had 9,000 tons of gold in your Fort Knox, where is it? Why aren't we pulling it out and using it? What are we waiting for? So it's a bunch of bull. It's not ours. It's China. If there's any there, it's Chinese. China bought it all, and they don't want to sell it back because they never understood gold and silver. It's a pet rock. It's not real. I mean, you're just like, what is wrong with these people? All right, a little bit more on this, and then we'll. I think there's another one I want to show you.
France has finished every single year in deficit, not one surplus. 51 years of spending more than it earns. And today, that gap isn't small. France overspends by roughly 160 billion euros a year, the equivalent of building an entirely new national rail system every single year, purely.
See, but look at every country's doing this, right? Every country is spending more than they get in, but because they're a country and the government's all corrupt or run by idiots, it just keeps going. Who's going to really call them on it? So it's like the U.S. We'll just do more debt. We'll just do more treasuries. And now nobody wants them. It went over the other guy's head that nobody wants our bonds because they're worthless. And China is getting rid of them, and Japan and Russia. They're all getting rid of the bonds because they're worthless. Now the pension companies are that, maybe, but we don't want them. I would never buy a treasury. They'll never pay me back. And even if they do, it's in inflated dollars. I don't want to be in dollars. We don't want to be in paper. All right. So let's see. Okay, there's a Ponzi scheme going on. Not a Ponzi scheme, just a scam going on. I'll play that. I thought Chase was doing something. No, it's just somebody's fucking around. So we'll listen. It's just a scam.
Tween milestones may start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too. For most, HPV clears on its own, but for others, it can cause certain cancers later in life. Ask their doctor about HPV vaccination.
Over 25 million people use Robinhood for their investing needs. Download Robinhood to get started.
Saying FedEx was having trouble.
If you have a debit card or a bank account, you need to know about this right
This
now.
is a
All the
scam.
money that you had in there is gone, and you actually owe Chase $895.
Nearly $160,000 stolen.
You think of your bank as being someplace that you put your money so that it's safe, but it's not.
Who thinks that? Do you think your money's safe in the bank? The bank's going to steal it. They're going to bail in and take your money. Who thinks the bank's safe? Jesus Christ.
Safe. And the woman you're about to meet can tell you why.
I'm not a young person anymore. I really was relying on just kind of a comfortable life at my age.
Sounds like the Madoff
But
people.
a few weeks after moving in, she says, she got a text saying her bank, Chase, wanted to know if she'd approved a $35 debit card charge from another state. So basically, it's one of those fraud texts.
That's
Did
right.
you approve this transaction?
Yeah, that's all it was. Just a minor irritant in my day. And of course, I said no. I don't approve of it.
Then the phone rang, showing Chase Bank as the caller, she says. And on the other end,
Hello, ma'am. This is Miss Barbara from Chase ATM. I'd like to know if it's okay if I give you a new card. And I said yes.
a new debit card. But she says the woman told her before she could issue it, she'd need to verify Moss's identity by sending her a text message and having her read the numbers in the message back to her over the phone.
And I would just repeat those numbers to her. And she'd say, "That's great. Thank you so much, Miss Moss."
Her new card was supposed to arrive in 1 to 2 days, but Moss says the next day Ms. Barbara called, saying FedEx was having trouble locating her home, something Moss says wasn't surprising to her since she'd just moved. Over the next week, Ms. Barbara called several times, Moss says, each time saying there was a problem with delivery of the card, and each time asking Moss to verify her identity by reading back the numbers from those text messages. Moss finally decided to go to the nearest bank branch 30 minutes from her home. And it was here, she says, a supervisor told her.
He looks up at me and says, "Oh no, Deborah, this has been a very active card. As a matter of fact, all the money that you had in there is gone, and you actually owe Chase $895. That's how I was told."
So we're dealing with an idiot here. Why would you talk to somebody on the phone? In other words, let's say Chase called me, right? What I would do is I'd drive 5 minutes to the bank and ask them, or I would call back to a good number. In other words, if I get a PayPal scam or one of these bank scams, first of all, I wouldn't answer. First of all, they're not texting you. You get something in the mail. Secondly, or calling you. Secondly, I would call them. I wouldn't do it over the phone. I would call them. Let me talk to your fraud department at Chase, and then say, is there a problem? No, I didn't authorize it. Of course, you're not going to authorize it, but I just delete that. I'll go to those emails. Oh yeah, your shipping thing and that. And I just delete them because they're all bullshit. You're not paying attention to any of them. So that's the point. Why are you talking? If somebody calls you, hang up, block the number, then call the bank. Chase, is there a problem? And they're going to say, what the fuck you talking about? Everything's fine. That's how you do it. You don't start answering somebody who called you pretending to be Chase. This is Chase Bank. Well, of course they're going to do that. So they spent $800 on her account. I'm surprised they didn't do 10,000. Anyway, this is a moron. Oh, I trust the bank. Yeah. Oh, okay. Really good for you. Let's see. All right. We're going to watch a little of Glenn Beckett.
The worst fucking state to live in right now is Michigan, and nobody's talking
about LA.
$5,100.
Okay, so this is Glenn Beck. I looked him up. He's not a Keynesian, supposedly, but he certainly isn't an Austrian. John, just like it's safe to take pharma stuff, it's very risky. They don't believe in gold and silver. Well, they're just paperweights. Oh, okay. Because they're idiots. They're Keynesians, and they don't understand the concept that if you print too much of this, it goes to zero, even though it's done it throughout history every time, including the Romans. Once you print too much money, and like we saw in France and the US and the UK, you have deficit after deficit. So I make $5 and I spend 10. That can't work. So it's the same thing here. This is worthless. Why it's so difficult to follow that concept, I have no idea. But they can't. They're unable to follow that concept. And they don't like gold and silver. Gold and silver is money. It's extremely limited. It's extremely highly demanded by all the central banks in the world and regular banks, and Putin and Xi and all these countries, Saudi and Britain, or Saudi and Brazil and Russia, China, India, all have gold. Why? All these central banks, Poland, Czechoslovakia, all have gold. Why? If it's no good, why do they have it? Why are they dumping dollars for gold and silver? I don't know. I mean, this is the problem. So you got to ignore these people. If when you hear that, you just tune off and you go, "This is stupid." So that's basically what it is. My family is ignorant with everything, no common sense. Well, they don't know. That's the problem with idiots. Idiots, not offensively, but idiots are what we call it from the videos. Idiots don't know what they don't know. They're clueless, and they basically don't understand what it is. They hear like the guy, the confident man we just watched, the banker, and they'll listen to him because he's confident. This guy's confident. He knows what he's talking. He looks good. He dresses well. He talks smooth. He must know what he's talking about. So I'm going to listen to him. Yeah, good luck with that. You got to ignore all that, and you got to actually hear what he's saying. And what he's saying was, I'm an idiot. I'm a moron. I'm too stupid to be on here talking. I love doing that when I get into an argument with the Keynesian. I end up by saying, "You're too stupid to have a conversation with," and I walk away because they don't like gold or this or that. There's one guy at the pool who really thinks he's so smart. So what are you going to sell your gold for? What fiat? I go. You don't understand it. Gold is the money, and silver is the money. It's not what I'm going to sell it for. It's that will become the money because that's the only thing you can't print. You can't inflate. It always has a limited supply, which will make the value go to the moon, which is what's happening now. So but they're very confident that they know. So what happens here with your family or friends that are very ignorant is because they don't know they're ignorant. They're following what they think is correct, and then they're very confident in hearing somebody else. They go, "Wow, he sounded confident, so that must be it." And I'm not going to challenge it. So now you're challenging them, and you're bringing up gold and silver, but you can't explain it very well to them because you're not me. You don't. You know it's the right thing, but you don't really know all the ins and outs and how to really teach it. So they don't listen to you, even though you're right. Buy gold and silver. So all you can do is buy gold and silver. And as I do, is say, well, if you don't want to listen to me when you need it, don't come to me to ask for it. So I will tell my friends, if you don't want to listen to me now, when you go broke, don't ask me. I won't help you with gold or silver. And that gets them thinking real quickly. All right, Glenn Beck. I don't know who this guy is. I gave him a negative, and he's an idiot, basically.
An ounce. Okay. Why is this happening? Well, the first thing that you need to understand is gold is a barometer. Gold is a barometer of belief. And what happened last week? What was the consensus that came out of the World Economic Forum for the entire world to see? I want you to think of this like a guy who has billions of dollars that you could invest. Because to stay safe, to stay ahead of the game, you have to think like that and then act in your own world. And if I have time today, otherwise I'll do it tomorrow, I'm going to show you how you interpret this and how you can act at all levels, okay? But you have to think like a billionaire. And the billionaires are moving money, okay? Why are they moving money? What happened last week? What happened last week was at the WEF. The WEF openly came out and said the old system doesn't work and it's failing.
They charge $200 for a DEXA scan that takes 5 minutes just because they can. Think about it. If you get...
So it was a consensus around the world that what the West has built no longer is any good and it won't work. Got to find a way out. That's what all smart money, all central banks, the entire world that's paying attention, that is the message that they heard last week at the WEF, okay? Now let me layer on a couple of other things that you probably don't know. We are headed towards a tripwire, and it's a race to the finish line. So let me give you the first tripwire, and that is Japan. Japan is, imagine an old man on a treadmill, okay? This old Japanese man on a treadmill. It was supposed to be temporary, him on this treadmill, but it turned into a life support machine. And now he's got to keep running. If he's not running, everything dies, okay? For 40 years, Japan has been like that little guy on the treadmill. told you got to keep moving. You can't stop. Just stay. Because if you stop, it means recession. So what's wrong with recession? Here's the part that nobody's ever really told you. Americans don't realize. If he stops, it's bad. If he speeds up, it's bad. And not bad for Japan, but us. Here's why. Japan's government has piled up so much debt that even normal interest costs become dangerous. That's why Japan has spent decades now making money too easy at home, okay? 0%. At some point, they were in negative interest rates, okay? Please take the money. We'll pay you to take the money. Interest rates, if borrowing ever gets expensive, the bill will swallow the budget in Japan and here. And the world has gotten used to a place where Japan was the place to go borrow cheap money. Now, here's where the story becomes our problem. Japan is not just a country. Japan is a country we've kept alive for a couple of reasons. One of them is they are a gigantic buyer of American IOUs. You'll hear them talked about as bonds, okay?
Okay, they used to be, they're not anymore. They've been dumping their bonds. Secondly, what the fuck does this have to do with anything? What does this have to do with the gold price going up? Again, missing the point. It's going up because the dollar has gone to zero, and you must get to a lifeboat. And the lifeboat is gold and silver. So people are getting out of dollars and euros and British pound and all these dollars. They're looking around going, well, fuck, we can't be in bonds, can't be in stocks. Shit, the only thing we can be in is gold and silver. It's a monopoly. It's the only thing. It's very limited and it's cheap and we can buy it and we'll be fine. We'll protect ourselves. That's why. But this guy can't understand that. He starts talking about Japan. What the fuck does Japan have to do with anything? Well, they'll implode or whatever. Who cares? Japan's already dumping the bonds out. It doesn't matter. The key to everything is that this is worthless and that this is worthless. This is the key. Why do you think everybody in Singapore, when Pat comes on and he says it's a 6-hour line to buy gold and silver and they don't even have any more in the stores, why do you think they're doing that? Because this is worthless. This is worthless. So you either keep $100,000 in this, or you Rumpelstiltskin it and put the 100,000 in this. Which would you rather have? By the way, this used to be $25, $30 an ounce. It's now 110. This used to have a value of $1. It's now a penny. And by the way, when I go to the grocery store, everything is a lot more expensive because the dollar is worthless. Not because everything in the grocery store are raising their prices, because the dollar is worthless. So you need more dollars to buy it. However, the price, and this is what Alligator doesn't understand, the price that you arrive at is what the market will bear. So, okay, we need more money for our Hershey's Kisses. Well, let's raise the price. Oh, wait, nobody's buying them. Oh, shit. So you can't just raise the price, even though you need more dollars to do it. You raise the price to what the market will bear. And that's what gold and silver, and that's the point Alligator misses. Alistair McLeod, he misses that. He thinks it's not the dollar, it's not gold going up, it's the dollar going down. No. The dollar's gone. The dollar's worthless. It's the market determining, based on the demand for the gold and silver, the price. Not that the dollar is worthless. It's the market that dictates the $5,000 for the gold and the $110 for the silver now. It's the market. Yes, you need more dollars to buy the gold, but what exactly is the price is the determination of the market. And they're saying 5,100 right now. And they're going to be saying 10,000 right now. And then they're going to be saying 25,000. The market will dictate that because, as I said, if everybody wants my shirt, this is a little different than yesterday. I got my green one on. The dark one is because I'm like, what, 14-3, well, really like 14-2 in on the playoffs. So I'm wearing the blue sweatshirt. But this is if the demand for this goes up, they can make more, right? That's what a market normally does. How much can we make it for? And that's what we're going to do. That's what we need more. We'll just make more. We'll order more. Until you get the gold and silver, you can't order more. There is no more to order. You got to dig it out of the ground. You can't inflate it. You can't print it. You can't counterfeit it. It has to come from the ground to the miners, to the refineries. It's got to go to the refineries in Switzerland to make it the silver bullshit into that. This went to a refiner, and that's what they made. And they used the models. And that's the only way to do it. You can't just print it. So wait, we need more silver. Well, there isn't any more. Well, the price will go up because the demand is calling for it, not because the dollar's going down. Yeah, that's not a hard concept, but Alistair McLeod can't seem to understand it. I finally got Egon understanding what inflation was not prices going up. It was the money printing and the value of the dollar dropping. That's what inflation is, not prices. And Alistair kind of understands a little of it, but he doesn't get it. In other words, I said it used to cost $35 for an ounce. Now it costs $5,000. The ounce is the same ounce. What happened is it takes $5,000 to buy it. Yes, but the 5,000 is based on the market, not because the dollar's going down in value. Anyway, so I don't know what this guy, he seriously does not understand what is going on. Now I'm getting AI calls for windows that I don't want in a house I don't live in. Scary stuff. So what is he talking about Japan and China? He talks about China later. What does that have to do with gold? It doesn't. It's all about the inflation. It's very simple. These are worth nothing. So I Rumpelstiltskin out of the dollar into gold and silver. And gold and silver is very limited. It can't be inflated. It can't be printed. I don't know why. It's a very simple explanation. I make it so a 10-year-old can understand it. And yet you hear guys like this, well, China's doing this and they're in debt. And the other guy's saying, well, if you make 10,000 and you spend 50,000, you're in a deficit. Great, but the money's still worthless. That's the key. The money is worthless. He never talked gold or silver. And he basically didn't explain anything, but he looked good and he was confident. So you would listen to him. And that's where the idiots have a problem. They listen to these people and then they think they know. And the scary part is by listening to this other guy, the ignorance is you don't know, but you think you do. And when somebody like me comes up to you and tries to tell you the real answer, you've already listened to this guy and you've already made up your mind. This is the answer. And this is the problem. The problem is they're listening to the wrong answer, but won't be open enough to listen to the right answer. So if you say 2 and 2 are 5, they believe it. And then I come in, well, no, 2 and 2 is 4, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, 4, not 5. No. Joe over here was really confident, said it's 5. So therefore it's 5. No, it's not, but they won't listen to it. That's the problem. That's why they're idiots. They won't listen to it, but think they do. They think they know the answer, even though they don't, and they won't listen to it. And that's the biggest problem. I'm the best. Thank you, John C. Do you get a lot of ads from pharma? I can't stand those. Call your doctor if you have. Do I get a lot of ads? Well, I mean, I see them if I'm watching TV. Like if I'm watching Pluto, there's a good movie on, and then they go to these 4 or 5 commercial breaks. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pharmas on there, but you shouldn't take any pills. Maybe, if you have a headache, just you're dehydrated. If you have a stomach ache, you're dehydrated. You need to drink water. This is the biggest cure is drink the water and maybe put a little lemon and put a little ginger in it. These are ginger in here, right? That's ginger. And I got lemon seeds. So this is lemon and ginger. And I got to get the darker one out. The light one's fresh. That's your cure. Cayenne pepper. My foot was starting to bother me. I put cayenne pepper on it. My foot's fine. So you have all the ingredients naturally: Celtic salt, cayenne pepper, garlic, cinnamon, all that. Cocoa, if you can get dark chocolate. You have all the answers. You don't need the farmer. He just wants to sell you pills that just mask what you have. Notice, if you break your foot, your body will heal it. Anything you have inside, your body will heal it. Just quit eating for a day or two. Let your body heal it. It's called autography. Let's see. Behold, the problem is that they don't have the answers. The solution is the Teaserking. Exactly. That. See, I invented a game, but it's in my head, where it's like Lord of the Rings, and you're trying to escape, and you're running around, and you have to find me to get the answer of what you need, and the answer of what you need is gold and silver. So if you have gold, you can escape, and you'll be free and on your way. We're in a forest or something. We're in something. We're in a building, a forest, whatever you want to be in. But you have to find me, because you don't know gold's the answer. You have to find me, and then I say you need gold and silver, and then and you go collect. There's some gold over here. You take it, and then you're free to leave. And that's what we are. We are sort of in the matrix, sort of that, where somebody says something, everybody believes it, even though it's not true or not real. They can't explain it. When you talk to somebody and they can't explain it, they don't know what they're doing. And then you don't want to listen to them. That's why I just showed you a couple of videos, and these guys, the banker, had no idea. All he did was rumble around and around in a circle and never gave an answer. I don't know what's going on in Russia. Sure you do. The defense contractors in Britain want the war to keep going because they're laundering money with the weapons. And if you don't understand that, then get the fuck off this guy's show. And for the guy to have him on the show is ridiculous. Then you have, okay, Mr. Finance Guy, explain inflation to me. And if he says, well, it's prices going up, he doesn't know what he's talking about. If he says, well, it's money printing and the value of the dollar goes to zero, then you want to listen to him. I'm B. I'm the one you want to listen to, not that. That's why Egon's learning from me. Most of these guys think it's prices going up, and the CPI, and Mike Maloney with the CPI, and Peter Schiff, Andy Scheck, they're clueless. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't even understand inflation, which is the key element in what we're talking about. That's why you buy gold and silver, and why gold and silver are going to the moon. Because the dollar is worthless, as is the British pound and the euro. And every other fucking currency, the Chinese, the Russian, the Japanese, are all worthless. Africa is going on the gold standard. Why are these big countries going on the gold standard? Why is Russia, why is BRICS going on the gold standard? Because it's the only out. They get it. And for a guy to say, well, they'll never come out with the unit, which has already came out in January, or I think maybe in December, that's the BRICS gold-backed currency called the unit. So when China wants to buy oil from Saudi Arabia, they do it with the unit, and then Saudi Arabia, guess what, gets gold, and China gets oil. There's no U.S. dollars there. It is out. It is a gold-backed currency. That is working. Russia's got a gold-backed currency coming out in February. The price of gold's too cheap. We need a higher price of gold. It's going to the moon. Silver is now needed by the industrial. There's not enough of silver, so they're buying the shit out of it. And guess what? The COMEX Ponzi scheme, Madoff, is now broken because it was never meant to be a physical system. It's a paper price fixing system, which is totally fucking illegal and should never have gone in. And that's how corrupt the government is. And the funny part is, there's two reasons we're glad of COMEX. One, we were able to buy silver at 25 an ounce and gold at 1,700, 1,800 an ounce a few years ago, because COMEX kept the price down for us. Thank you very much. They didn't tell you had to find the key, which I found in my master's program, but you had to find the key that's the path, gold and silver. And now we're watching it go to the moon. The other thing that they didn't do was it was all a paper game. And once people needed the physical, it blew up. So it allowed us to buy it very cheap by keeping the price down. And then, and the other thing was there's no silver mines because it was too cheap. At $20 an ounce, you needed $40 an ounce to go and develop a silver mine. So you're only getting $20 an ounce with it. It wasn't worth doing a silver mine, which helps us even more that there's no supply of silver because nobody minded it. They all said, fuck it, I'll do a gold mine or a copper mine or something else, uranium mine, but I'm not going to do silver. There's no profit in it. And that's what we're motivated with. So instead of having silver mines and more silver, we don't have any silver, which makes our silver go even higher and higher. Beautiful. Thank you, JP Morgan, and the rest of you mafia types who are running the banks, who are running COMEX, who are letting us get in on the ground floor. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We should send them like flowers or something. Thank you for making us rich, and but we're smart enough to do it. What do most people? They're in the stock market. They're bought bonds. They're in real estate trust. Real estate is not an answer. I give you the answers. You buy a Mantle card, a Montana rookie, a Brady card, a Willie Mays, a Sandy Koufax. You buy an old card that's very limited, highly in demand because they're superstars. You buy a Rolex, which goes up. You buy a Picasso or Van Gogh, which are extremely limited and high in demand. Or you buy gold and silver. That's it. There's nothing else to go into. That's it. It is not to put your money in the bank. It is not to buy Apple stock. It is not to buy Bitcoin, which isn't another thing that isn't real. That's as phony as a $3 bill. You think Bitcoin's real? How? Why? Show me. You can't. It's not. It doesn't exist. You out of your fucking mind? No. That's going to collapse too because it's priced in dollars. The dollar goes to zero. Bitcoin goes to zero because there's no Bitcoin. Gold and silver will get they don't need the dollar. There might be priced in dollars. I don't need anything to be able to spend this. People will take it. They know it has a value. This will always have a value. It doesn't need the dollar to be valued. This $110 is bullshit. It's worth 10 times that. But people, but it's priced in dollars now, but it doesn't need to be. And that's the difference between that and Bitcoin. Bitcoin needs it to be priced in dollars, and gold and silver doesn't. So when the dollar goes out, gold and silver go way up. And then, I got an ounce of gold. I'd like to buy your house. Oh, really? Okay, thanks. That's what happens. So I don't know what this guy, don't waste your time with Glenn Beck. Then he's going to talk about China. I don't know. I really just scratched my head. Be careful of this Chase scam. If anybody calls you, I would not take the call, and I would just, if you're worried that it's real, then I would call the bank. You make the call because you're calling the bank. There can't be a scam there, or go into your bank. But if somebody calls you pretending to be your bank or the IRS or some credit card or time sharing or something, just hang up and never, ever, ever give your information on the phone for somebody who called you that you're not sure who it is. Now, if I call Chase and I say, yeah, you called, well, there's fraud. Okay, let's do this. Give me your thing. I've called them. I know who I'm talking to. That's the only time I will give that away. But if somebody just calls me, yeah, Howard, I need your date of birth, your social security number, it's a Ponzi scheme. I had that with a job yesterday. Somebody tried to scam me that there was a job at GM paying $55 an hour. Am I interested in it? And I said, it was funny is it was an Oregon phone number, but the girl was in like Tennessee or something. I said, well, 55 sounds good. Yeah. Well, okay, I need you to sign off and I need your birthday. You need my birthday? I'm not giving you my birthday. You can't ask for my birthday. What the fuck? And then she said, oh, it changed. It's not 55 an hour, it's 31 an hour. I told her to fuck off. Stop wasting my time. What do you mean it changed? I know how GM, where it is, change it. It's in their system. So you got to be careful. There's a lot of people going broke who are going to try to scam you out of your money and your identification. And you just shut the fuck up. If somebody's asking for it, you hang up on them. And then if you are really, if you're really paranoid about it, I got that once where somebody called me. There was a charge on my debit card. So I called the bank back, and there was. And how the fuck did this happen? Somebody used it at some hotel for $50, and it hit my account. It actually hit my account, and we got it reversed. But I called the bank. I didn't have somebody call me, and I just assumed it was the bank. You can't do that. A good match, the Macho Man and Bret Hart versus Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels, with Mr. Perfect in the corner of Ric Flair. Good match, but we win. The Macho. Gold now listen to this title. Gold just hit a dangerous new high. What's dangerous about it? It's irrelevant on the dollar. What the value of gold is has nothing to do with the dollar. And it is not, this is my argument, it is not anything to do with the dollar. They're totally non-related. Because gold's going up doesn't mean there's no trust in the dollar. It just, gold's an asset, and BRICS came out and they all want gold. The price of gold's going up. It has nothing to do with the dollar. Just like the gold-silver ratio it's irrelevant. It's meaningless. It's got nothing to do, and I wouldn't listen to it. Well, it's going to go to 10 to 1, so you know that they're just trying to sell it to you, right? So they're saying, well, gold's 5,000 at 10 to 1, then silver would be 500. Or 15 to 1, or 20 to 1. Where are they getting this ratio from? You can't tell the demand of silver by a ratio. It's independent. A Mantle card versus a Willie Mays card are independent. They're not, well, the Mantle card's 10 to 1 over Willie Mays. No, it's how much demands for Mays, how much demands for Mantle. They're independent. Gold and silver are independent. There is no such thing as a ratio that is anything meaningful at all. If gold goes to 10,000 an ounce, silver might go to 2,000, it might go to 3, it might go to 5, it might go to 10, based on one fact and one fact only, the demand for silver. There's a lot more use for silver with all these manufacturers and the electronics and stuff, and the fact that we need it for money. We need to get out of the dollar into silver. So it's a dual use thing. So it very easily could climb more than gold, which really has one use, which is money. You're not putting, gold's too expensive to put in batteries and stuff, although it's probably better than silver. But you're not doing that with the gold. So gold's much higher, but gold's had a head start. Gold was a Basel III treated as money, and therefore everybody's jumping into gold, and gold's cheap. Now gold's 5,000. So most people keep buying gold. Some of the people who don't make as much say, geez, I know I got to get out of the dollar. Like a lot of our people, I got to get out of the dollar. I can't afford gold. Oh, I buy silver. So that's where the price sensitivity will come into it. So when gold's 10,000, silver's 2,000, you're going to buy silver. But that's it. But it still goes, and you still don't know what to do with it. But it has nothing to do with this gold-silver ratio. Now, if both turn into 10, silver go to 10,000, if gold's 10,000, they're unrelated. Silver could go to 15,000 and gold 10 because of all the industrial use, and people need All the businesses need silver, and there's no substitute for it. As I showed you that Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff guy who's sitting there going, well, there's no use for silver. It's just a paperweight, or they'll come out with this. No, he said they'll come out with a substitute. All the battery makers will just they'll make copper instead of silver. No, you're wrong, idiot. There is no substitute for silver. For certain things, like for the solar panels and the silver paste, you can't use any other paste. So Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff doesn't get that, right? He doesn't understand it. Why listen to this moron? So you're dealing with a lot of idiots who sound stuff, but I think what the thing is why you listen is because you don't know. My goal is to educate you to get your weaknesses to strengths. I don't really know this. I'm trying to explain it so now you're stronger and now you understand gold. Your weakness is now your strength. I get gold. I get silver. I get why I need to buy it. I get that the inflation is the money printing, not the cost. I get all that. Now you're much stronger. Now you can explain it to people. You know why you're buying gold and silver. You know when these other idiots say it's a pet rock that they're just morons and you don't listen to them. But that's what you're missing, and your weakness is you don't know. So the average guy, their weakness is I don't know anything about inflation, money, gold, silver, anything. So in their weakness, they find somebody who says it and they're very confident, but they're wrong. But their weakness is I don't know. So they'll listen to them and then they'll think, oh, now I understand it. Because Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff, told me that silver's a paperweight, not to buy it. And this is the problem. So what you're trying to do is strengthen your weakness, right? Because now if you understand it, now you can differentiate people that know what they're talking about and people that don't know what they're talking about. I introduce you to the idiots like I did today, like 3 idiots. But I do introduce you to Egon and Mark McGuire, who do know what they're talking about. So those are the guys you want to focus on. They know what's going on. Alistair McLeod does not understand it. And they're selling, they're not buying gold, they're selling dollars. I mean, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Well, how else are you going to buy the gold? Of course, you're using dollars to buy the gold. Your Rumpelstiltskin, you're getting out of dollars. You have to get out of dollars, but you have to get into gold. It's the same thing. He doesn't understand that. It's amazing. All Alistair McLeod is a banker, not an economist. And you need an economist to explain this to you. Egon's a banker, but he kind of understands it. And Mark McGuire is a stockbroker who, and this is the thing, Andy Schechtman runs a store. Peter Schiff he's a con man, basically. If you listen to him for more than a minute, because it's hard to take much more, he doesn't say anything. He talks. It's like Andy Schechtman. These guys are talkers, but when you really listen to it, they didn't say anything. They just talk. And they talk passionately or they talk confidently. They didn't say anything. They didn't explain inflation. They didn't explain why you buy gold and silver. They didn't explain the dollar's worthless. They didn't explain any of that. They just rumbled on about whatever it is they're rumbling on about. So that's really the key. So again, we'll go. Let's just conclude. So Super Bowl, we've got Seattle 4.5, 46. We're playing the game under, and we're taking Seattle. That's your Super Bowl teaser. Go under and go Seattle. I got Seattle winning 30-10. I think Drake May is a bust. I thought he was a bust when he got drafted. I don't think he can read a defense. He runs way too much. Running it just means he can't read a defense. So when he goes back to pass, the defense is all over the place covering the receivers. He says, I can run there. And he thinks it's more valuable to run than it is to throw the ball. So, he can make some throws. That's not what I'm talking about. It's, do they understand reading the defense and knowing, hey, this play's not going to work. I got to go to that, which I showed you in my first video before that, the Tom Brady videos, where they need to read it. Let me show you those again here.
was always my job to say, well, I know what my play is. Now I look at the defense. Okay, I think I know what they're in. Does what I have call, is it going to work? And that was my judgment. And they would have to live and die with my judgment, the entire team. Now, I developed the trust within the team, my teammates and the organization to say, we trust you to have that final swipe. Let's say there's a safety blitzing off the right side, and I got to run right at the right side. And I know that nobody can block him. I'm not going to snap the ball and run it into the strong safety blitzing and tackle our running back 4 yards in the backfield. I'd say, okay, if the strong safety's coming on the right and we got to play to the right, what do you want me to do? You want me to run to the left? You want me to check to a pass? I would hope that I would have never snapped the ball into a bad defense. Now, did I? Of course I did. When I played Buffalo, they wouldn't move until after the ball was snapped. And they would just play in this little shell defense. Ball be snapped, and here they go, they rotate. Because every defense has strengths and weaknesses to it. My job as a quarterback was always to delineate where the strengths and weaknesses were. And was the play that I had called, was it able to take advantage of the weaknesses of the defense? And if it couldn't, then I was supposed to get to a play that would. It was always my job to say, well, I know what my play is. Now I look at the defense.
So that's my point on judging quarterbacks. Drake May cannot do that. Drake May goes back. He doesn't know where he's throwing. He wants to run too much. And I get it. It's hard because you can't hit the quarterback. So the quarterback runs for 10 yards. But it's really, Mahomes does it. You don't mind. Joe Burrow does it once in a while. But they're there to throw the ball to the receivers. And Drake May doesn't. Darnell seems to be getting better. What he learned at Minnesota, what he's learning here. So obviously he didn't choke against the Rams. So, okay, we can trust him a little bit. If he wins the Super Bowl and has a big day, now, okay, he's good. Steve Young was one we couldn't trust. He was terrible. That's why I call Bryce Young Steve Young, because he's the same. He's terrible. Montana, yeah, you could trust. As soon as he hit the pass, the catch in 81, and he hit Dwight Clark to win the game, then it's bet our ass on Joe Montana. And we made a ton of money on Joe Montana, especially whenever he was a road favorite of like 6 or 7, and we'd play the game even. That's why I never do money lines. Oh, Montana 7 down to 1. Yeah, let's bet the house on it. And he'd win. He'd win all those games, unless it was Lawrence Taylor and the Giants, or he even beat the 84 Bears in San Francisco, and he beat them in 88, the 84, 85 Bears. So he even beat them. That's why Brady, he never really beat, he struggled with Ed Reed and Ray Lewis a little bit, and some of the Pittsburgh games he lost. So against the good defenses, you're running into the strength, and that's going to be a trouble. So can Drake May get out of the play and call a good one? No, he can't. Not yet. Anyway, does he learn it? Maybe. He should already know it. That's why these guys should not be playing in their first year. The first year, they should be watching and learning, because this is an NFL defense, not a college defense. So they go in usually handicapped, going, well, I don't know. I saw this at Alabama, but this is the New York Giants. I don't know. Lawrence Taylor, I didn't see him in college. And so you wouldn't know how to get out of it. And that's the key, is knowing how to get out of it. And that's the point. So that's really what you're trying to avoid, is those things. And you're trying to, get out of a bad play. And then you earn the trust. That's why it was Brady, not Belichick, who won all those games for New England, because Brady had to call the right plays and get out of the bad plays that he got from Josh McDaniels or Charlie Weiss or any of those stupid offensive coordinators. Brady won those games, not Belichick. Belichick probably made the stupid call, and then Brady goes, "That's the play's not going to work. Let's run this play." And so we'd audible out. So it was Brady actually winning all the games, not Belichick. And that's why when Brady left, Belichick didn't do shit. And then when Brady went to Tampa, he wins a Super Bowl there because he's basically the coach. So it was Brady, not Belichick, the whole time. All right, let's do our last check on gold and or silver. All right, we got gold at 50.88. It got really close to 5,100. I don't know what kept it down, but nice and healthy, 50.87, and silver 107. I don't know why it's down $8. This is the bullshit of Comax where they're just doing options. It's much higher, even 115. It's $1,000 an ounce item. But 107, it's a joke. It's not, we have to be smart enough to know what we're seeing isn't real. So the 107.30, okay, we're glad it's 107, but it's a lot higher than that because we're living in the physical world. These are options. And as long as it's priced paperly, we know it's bullshit. So we see 107. Why is it down $8? Profit taking? No. Who's profit taking this? Now, these option guys who are just playing derivatives and playing making money on the option, are they profit taking? Why would they profit take? First of all, you don't want to do it. So the real people who are buying the physical like us, we just laugh at this. We know it's 10 times higher, $1,000 an ounce. The people who are stupid enough to look at the graph and go, oh, it went up, I got to short it, are the idiots who are going to lose all their money. We don't like idiots. So anyway, 50, 90 for gold, 107.36. So we're still at 107. We've cleared the 100. We're fine. And now we'll wait for our next move, which will be by Friday. We'll be at 100 and a quarter, 130. And it'll just keep going. And there's no reason to stop because there ain't any of this. This is extremely limited. And if it's extremely limited, but we still have huge demand, which we do, because you have to get out of this. And if you have to get out of this, you go into gold and silver. Now you probably go a little more into silver because it's 100 an ounce and gold's almost 5,100, which means your premium is 5,300. My guy now has a $200 premium if he ever has gold. So in his mind, he makes 200 when you buy, and he makes 100 when. If I were to sell it, he charged me 100. But so if somebody comes in, he makes 100 on the sale, and then I buy it from him, he makes 200 on the buy. I mean, he's making $300 instead of making 20,000. I mean, it's just, I don't know. He's not playing with a full deck, I think, which is okay. We take advantage of it because we know. Does it make sense? Critical think. Watching that guy who was a banker who had all these strange answers, we know he's an idiot. We know he's clueless. He doesn't know. And that's really where we're trying to get to, is that you strengthen your skill set in economics so then you can call out the guy as an idiot, right? When you get to that level, that's where you're going. Football, I try to give you everything, but some of you guys still want to use algorithms and AI and formulas. It doesn't work. You cannot value, somebody asked me, well, what's the value of Stidham? How the fuck would I know? Was he any good? They had that one completion. He threw the one touchdown, and there was a lot of game. He didn't do anything. They couldn't really run on New England, and New England couldn't run on Denver. So it became a running game that went nowhere. It was an Army-Navy game. And if Stidham didn't even make the pass, just took the sack, it looks like Denver should have won 10-0 had they just kicked the field goal when they had the ball at the 10-yard line instead of going for it. Very, very, and it was such a stupid play. Like the guy went back to throw, there was nothing open. What are you doing? Kick the field goal, go up 10-0, and then you go to the Super Bowl. Again, it was like the Lions revisited, kick your field goal. How many times do you idiots have to not do it? Go for it. Like, what is it? Is it the network saying, oh, it's more exciting if they go for it? So go for 4th downs. And don't worry, we'll pay you. And even though you lose, I mean, are these teams not playing to win? Because Denver did not look like they played to win by not kicking the field goal. And then the stupid pass. So if you kick the field goal, you're up 10-0. If the guy doesn't do the stupid pass, you win 10-3. You're in the Super Bowl. Is that really, you scripted that? I don't think so. I don't think when you get to the Super Bowl or in the Super Bowl, now there's 2 scripted Super Bowls. The Jerry Rice when he was on Oakland against Tampa, and Oakland didn't change their plays. So Tampa knew every play they were running. And the 68 when the Jets in Baltimore play with Joe Namath. That was scripted. Earl Morrall threw 4 picks at the 10-yard line. And then on the best play, the click dipsy doodle, where the guy, Johnny Orr, runs down and was wide open and you didn't throw to him. That's pretty much scripted. That you lost on purpose, Earl Morrall. And that guy should have been thrown in jail for that. That was clearly a fix. Those are the only 2 I know of. The rest of the teams just suck. And that's it. I don't think Brady would fix. I don't think Mahomes would. Certainly not Joe Burrow or Stafford. The great quarterbacks they're not gonna allow the script. It's like Bret Hart and the Montreal screw job. He wasn't gonna allow it. All right, I think that's it. So this is 2 hours. The first one was about 40 minutes. So had a nice day. Anyway, apologize for the internet problems, but look, I was on 2 hours. I didn't have one here, so I don't know what it is. And it hit me early in the first one. I should have just kicked off and then came back on. But anyway, I don't know. I can't explain it. I do try to shut my computer down before I come on and clean out any bullshit I got on there, but I don't know. Anyway, so buy as much gold and silver as you can. Now, you can buy quarter ounces, half ounces. Let's quickly look at that. We're back to 108 on silver and 50.93 on gold, and it's 2 o'clock. All right, so let's see what the Dow's doing today. The Dow's down 400 to 48,000. Yeah, that's real. Yeah, good luck believing that crap. So here, I mean, you can get a quarter ounce of gold for 1,400. Yeah, so I mean, you could still get a quarter ounce for 1,400, even though gold's 5,100. You can still get for 1,400 a quarter ounce of gold. And you don't want to buy these. You don't want to buy, what is this? MS70. Look, it's the same value. Here's one 1447. Here's one 1407. So I wouldn't get a graded one. You're just buying gold. That's all you're doing. They're all about 1450. Let's go to the 10th of an ounce. And there's the 10th of an ounce is roughly 571. Figure 600. So you can get a 10th of an ounce there. You got to love the kangaroos. 550 for a 10th of an ounce. So there you go, 550 for a 10th. Now they actually have here they have a 1/20th of an ounce. Let's look at that. Here's 1/20th of an ounce is 300. So you can buy these. If you don't have the money and you want to buy gold, you can get a 1/20th of an ounce. So this seems more expensive than the 1/10. The 1/10 was what, 550. So you'd be better off with that because this would cost you almost 700. So you do the math. I can get a 1/20th for 330 or a 1/10 for 5 something. So I would always do the math and go, no, I'd rather have the 1/10. I used to do that with quarter ounces and half ounces. If they priced it weird, and sometimes it was cheaper to get 2 quarter ounces than a half ounce. So I'd get that. The guy never understood why I bought fractionals, because I want to buy gold and I can't afford an ounce. Gold was like 2,500 an ounce at the time, and I'm like, well, I don't always have 2,500, but I want to buy more gold, so I would get a quarter ounce for 300 or a tenth of an ounce for $200, and I'd get that. And it was even cheaper. I think I was getting it for $70, $80 way back in 2021 in the quarter ounce. So I showed you the quarter ounce. It was maybe 300, but I'm not looking to profit take. That's not the thing. And then let's look at our silver. Now, here's silver 129. All right. Now, AmpMax is always, here's 121 DBS coin. So it's from a coin. So this is probably good, right? 120, and silver is what, 108? So there's a small premium, which I wouldn't be surprised. It's very limited. But let's take a look at this one. $39 for a $1 American Silver Eagle. Now let's go into this auction and see, does this guy have any positive feedback? He supposedly sold 37. How? Who's buying it? Seller does not accept returns. This item is covered by eBay money back guarantee, which everybody's probably doing. This guy's from Missouri in the US, probably Chinese. Oh, but let's look about the seller. Zero feedback. He puts in 392,568 to make it look like he got that. But look at his feedback, zero. This guy's a scammer. This is not a real silver. If they're going for 120 and you're going to get this for 40, do you think it's real? This is the scam that you avoid. You want silver, you're going to pay $122 for it. That's an ounce. So that makes sense. It's selling for 108. Okay, that makes sense. 122. Yeah, there's a big premium because everybody wants it and it's so limited. However, avoid at any cost. This is fake. This is bullshit. Okay, let's turn it around. Let's say it's us. We have silver. It's going for $108 on Comex. We want a little premium. We'll sell it for $115. Why would we sell it for $39 if we have a real ounce of silver? Why would you? If it's worth $120, why would I sell it for $40? And the only reason is because it's fake, and that's what it's not even worth $40. It's not worth anything. So again, what looks too good to be true is too good to be true. It's not real. And that's where you're at now. So this $40 is bullshit. You do not want to buy it at all. It's not right. So you avoid that. So just be careful with that. It's wrong. It's fake. And, if it looks too good to be true, it is. So you would never buy that. And don't get caught into, oh, good, I'm getting it for $40. Yeah. Would you sell it for 40 if you had, this is, all right, we're at, let's say it's 110. So this is worth 220 now because this is a 2-ounce silver. Why would I sell this for 80 if it's worth 220? Why would I ever sell it for 80 if it's worth 220? Never, never in my who's this stupid? Even if I need the money, I'm going to sell this in 5 seconds because as soon as I put it out, it's a nice Maple Leaf 2-ouncer, $9.99 silver. Even let's say it's 108, it's 110. I sell it for 220. It'll be gone in 5 seconds. Buy it now, boom, it's bought. Well, I don't need to sell it at 40 because I need the money. Even if I need the money, it goes for 220. Let's say it was 1 ouncer, it's 110. Why would I sell it for 40? I know I can get it's the most highly demanded thing right now. I wouldn't worry about getting it. And so why would I sell it for 40? It just doesn't make any sense. So keep that in mind. It looks too good to be true. It is. Would you sell it for 40 if you had the ounce? And the answer is never. I can get 110 for it, but I don't want to sell it at 110 because it's going to go to 1,000. And even at 1,000, I don't think I'll sell it unless I actually need something. In the Muggle world where they use paper dollars. I wonder what the Harry Potter did they? Well, Harry had gold. Yeah, see, they were smart enough to have gold, right? But why would you ever? I mean, so that's the only reason you'd sell it is you needed Muggle dollars and you needed to buy, a toothbrush or something. Anyway, that's the key. So the dollar's going out. It's worthless. It's gone. Understand that. You buy gold and silver because it's the lifeboat. And at any price, it doesn't matter. It's going to the moon because everybody will need it. And as more people get out of the dollar, they'll need it. People are a little stubborn. Oh no, I'm in stock. I'm in Bitcoin. Oh. No. You know the best thing. So anyway, I'll leave you with that. So Seattle 30, New England 10. Go under and take 4.5 up, take it to 1.5. We cross zero. We don't give a fuck. It's about winning, and we win fine going that. Same thing with Seattle last week. It was 2.5. You could have taken Seattle in 3.5. You'd have won. But I like the Rams better. They were the live dog, and I had them +9 because I thought the Rams were actually the better team. But if you took 2.5 up to 3.5, you win. If you took New England from 4 to 2, you win. New England, Houston from 3 to 3, you win. The Rams 3.5 to 2.5, you win. Buffalo, Denver, you take Denver in 4.5, you win. I'm still trying to find it. I think I had Denver in 4.5, and I know I went over was a lock. The Denver Buffalo game over was the best play. But so far, every one of these games, Houston -3 to +3, New England -3 to +3 against San Diego. So explain to me really why I can't go over zero. It's worked every time. So I don't get it. All right, I will leave you with that. So get warm. It's still cold here, but I don't think it's snowing. I'm going to go to the grocery store, and then I'm going to go to swim. I kill 2 birds with 1 stone, so I do it at the same time. And then I got to cook chicken, which I was going to do, but I might do now, but I'll probably do when I get home. But the problem is, it's going to the grocery store and going to swim when I get home. I just want to eat, and I'm a little tired. So anyway, I'll probably cook it later. So have a good day. www.teaserking.com. Be safe, be smart, buy as much gold and silver as you can. Be careful listening to these morons and idiots. Realize if they can't explain inflation as money being printed, they don't know what they're talking about, so stop listening. You don't want to listen to bad things. You only want to listen to somebody worth listening to that knows, and that's your problem. All right. Have a good day. www.teaserking.com. Take care, everybody.